Good evening and welcome everyone to the Litecast here on the CF After Dark Network. Quick apology on being a few minutes late getting the show started here, but you know what? The commenters are coming through. I've already got a great comment that we have to put
Yeah,
up on the
I
show. Um,
I do, I do love this.
Matt wanted to take the blame for this one. He said he didn't want to throw his 6-year-old under the bus who was having a birthday
Yep.
party. So even though I just did that, Matt, I'll let you kind of take it away. I think what the people watching live here on YouTube and on Cyclone Fanatic and on CF After Dark would I think what they'd love to know is how'd the birthday party
Yeah,
go, man?
it was great. I'm gonna put something out on Twitter, about what's my punishment? Wrong answers only. It was great. We had a mermaid themed birthday party, Keeney, outdoors, which on a day like today in a pool in the shade was about the only place that you were probably comfortable. So it was really fun. Margaret had a bunch of friends from church, from school, a neighbor as well, and they had a great time. A lot of girls. It's just me and Francis. We're kind of outnumbered here, especially on a day like today. So I got to take the baby for a walk for a while. I got to be the guy that got to pick up the pizza. With Pizza Pit, not a sponsor, could be, and it was a great time.
Good stuff, Matt. So yeah, you're having a better week. I mean, you're having a pretty good week overall, aren't you? So
Oh
I,
yeah.
got- I got to tell you, it's been a pretty good week over here, but tomorrow morning I have to take my 3-year-old to the dentist. And as someone who has
Ooh,
small children, you can probably attest to this. Has there ever been a good trip to the dentist for you with your kids?
no. Um, and my dentist is like a friend. He has a shout out to Adam. He's got kids, my kids' age, but man, it's the dentist. I just don't know that kids are ever going to have a good time at the dentist.
Your
Are you
friend, not a
concerned?
sponsor, not a sponsor, could be a sponsor. Is that what I'm
Adam, not
hearing?
a sponsor. Main Street Dental, not a sponsor. Could be.
Could be a
I'll have to talk
sponsor.
to him about that. We could do a little segment on I don't know, tooth related. We'll have to workshop that. Are you nervous about the dentist? Are you nervous about cavities? Do you give the kids a lot of sugar? Keeney, take us through the
Oh,
your mindset.
I'm not nervous. It's just a regular 6-month teeth cleaning, and it's just not going to go well. I love that I know that ahead of time. Jackson Pence chiming in. Shout out to Darius Starks from the last episode of the podcast, which was a lot of fun.
Okay,
We didn't
yeah,
plan it.
we
Maybe
a lot of good feedback on that one.
we'll see if at some point in the show we'll throw out a name of a guy. Could be a cyclone athlete. Could be an
We
athlete.
we will, and I have an idea that I want to workshop for the next podcast, but we need to put some calls out on social media like we did last time because we got some great names. So Keeney, when we get to that point of the show, I'll pitch you the idea. How's that sound?
That sounds good to me, Matt. We're taking the Wednesday night shift this week.
Yep.
It's This is really the middle of the summer. This is like the deadest time of the calendar. We're even through Big 12 Media Day, which I don't know if there was anything from that even felt like stood out to you or something that you definitely wanted to talk about on the show. Uh, yeah, small children and the dentist. You know what? Could go on about this for a while, but you
Does hold
parents
on,
out
hold
there,
on.
you know.
Last dental topic. Does the dentist does the ring 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 or like the teeth scraping sound? Does that bother you? Are you a sound really those things bother you type of guy, Keeney?
Me personally, I can't stand the scraping thing. It's awful. It's awful to deal
Pretty
with.
it's pretty brutal.
It's like I know he's not going to like it, and like I'm in my 30s. I don't like going to the dentist either. It's okay. It's just we're going to get through it. We'll get our teeth cleaned, and then we'll get some sort of reward, and then we'll go have a normal Thursday. But no, Matt, we got a few things on the docket. Like I said, it's dead time of the summer, but we did get some big news at the end of last week that we have not talked about on the podcast yet. So probably better jump in with the news that Jamie Pollard is going to retire as Iowa State's AD sometime within the next year. Matt, you and I have had disagreements about Pollard. We're probably aligned on a bunch of things about Pollard, but now that the
Yep.
news is officially out there, something that we've maybe speculated about for a while, how much longer is he going to go? Now we know the answer. I guess what's your immediate reaction to the news?
It surprised me in that it sort of came out of nowhere. I don't know. Did you feel the same, Keeney? I'm sure you probably did. Um, Not like it was a great surprise, but I don't know. I certainly didn't feel like there was anything imminently coming. But I really love the way that this was done, honestly. I know some people might be feeling that CyTown is an unfinished project, but honestly, this is a great time to announce. I think you want to have something done before the portal opens for football and before the end of the basketball season. And I think Jamie is putting this out there for that to be able to happen. I mean, my assumption, Keeney, is they would maybe have this done in 4 months. Would be
Do you think
kind of
there's a
my. I mean, that's my
possibility that
personal time.
there's some stuff moving behind the scenes where maybe they know what they want to do and they're just not ready to announce it? So Jamie's going to go ahead and say, "Hey, I'm staying on." Or do you think that process is kicked off yet, or is this
I
truly?
think
I'm just giving you 12 months notice.
Yes, thank you,
The
Fancy.
Jamie Pollard endowed athletic director. The next athletic director will be the Jamie Pollard endowed athletic director.
I like that Jamie Pollard is currently the Jamie Pollard, and it's like the meme of Barack Obama giving Barack Obama the Medal of Freedom or the Nobel Peace Prize. It's a great meme. It's a no politics involved. That's just a hilarious one. Okay, let's talk about before we talk about
is beer and Jack Trice Jamie Pollard's greatest legacy?
Is it really? Hold on, there we go. We're just the camera here. Is beer and Jack Trice? I do think for people who always felt like this was like an over my dead body thing, this probably aids to that, right? And it gets announced, and then immediately he's like, "Yeah, actually, I'm retiring," which I think
Slobs won is what people are saying.
Slobs won. Can we? I know, like when Chris did his podcast on Sunday, and even what they've done since, they really didn't talk about it. But for the younger listener, and I would love to see people in the chat put in some bad memories. Let's hop in the way back.
Matt, you can speak to this a lot more than I did. Like Iowa State athletics in 2005. You were at least following along probably closer than I was.
Like, I was a big fan already. My dad was an alum. I remember the Seneca game in Arrowhead. I remember like vividly watching Todd Blythe torch Texas A&M. Like I was already pretty invested. But man, Keeney, it was awful. Like just brutal. I was young enough where I'm like, we're the best at everything. We're going to win everything. I was an optimistic, let's see, 12-year-old, roughly. But we were in a pretty bad spot, right? So you have Bruce Vandevelde, the last athletic director who was responsible for killing baseball. You had Wayne Morgan, who was kind of battling it out to be 500 and coming off of the Eustace regime, right? Like a second round exit and almost winning the NIT just didn't cut it. Football, you had hillsides all the way around the stadium, which were great, but think about how much more fun it is now. The facilities,
there was no Golden End Zone, there was no Suit Up Club, there was no Jacobson building.
Correct. You had the Olson building, right? The little facility right on the end of the stadium was tiny. Almost, honestly, I'll be honest, it's laughable now in hindsight. I would love to hear from a player from that era to think about those facilities and offices, what they practice on compared to what we have now. The indoor practice facility, the football facility, which very quickly was dwarfed by the massive Stark Performance Center. The new facilities for basically every sport, men's basketball, that complex out in West Ames at the time was huge. And it turns out, Keeney, that's what everybody has. So had that not been done, I don't know where we'd be today. And there's really, I think, three things that he did well, right? I'm dying at these comments. The facilities thing.
How endowed? Like, if you're only listening, if you're not watching, how endowed will his eventual statue be? I'm wondering.
Great point. A very, very well endowed. But like at the time, the sport was making all the money, Keeney, that all these schools are panicking about now because they have to give that revenue to players. That was all shoved into facilities in the 2000s because they had nowhere else to put it. You had LSU building a lazy river for athletes on campus, like just absurd things happening with these locker rooms, with facilities, because they were making money and they had to stick it somewhere. That money's now going to the players. It's why you've seen so many universities pause, cancel outright renovations unless they were majorly underway like Kansas and Vanderbilt. But you're going to see much less of that going forward because that money is not just going to be coming in to go to pay massive buyouts and build massive facilities. So give him credit because I don't know that Iowa State could do that today had that not been done. And I don't know that it was ahead of its time, but it was exactly what needed to happen. I actually think the parlay, and we'll see what happens with Jimmy Rogers, right? But from McCarney to Chizik to Rhodes was actually a lot more brilliant than people think. While Chiswick bolted, he actually recruited Keeney 2 very good classes. And while those teams stunk, they were great players on it that helped Paul Rhodes when he got here compete right away, right? Went to a bowl game our first year out of nowhere, right? After being horrible under Chiswick. And Paul did more than anything in tandem with Jamie Keeney, got the stadium full. And Pollard put up like braggadocious billboards in Eastern Iowa, basically saying, hey, we're here. We're going to spend money. I've heard Chris Williams talk about it, but back in the day, not only could you just walk into the stadium, Keeney, like in 2006, but there was basically no donor levels. Like no one bought season tickets. You could just literally show up. It was like, football was like that in the 80s and parts of the 90s. Like we were really bad, and that's how it was. So why would you donate money and buy season tickets? There's no reason to. But with Paul, who got people excited, who was passionate, people started to go. I remember Keeney in high school. All I wanted was to go to the Insight Bowl in Tempe in 2009 for Christmas. Parents took us. I was in, right? Because I loved his passion. I loved his energy. And that parlayed into us getting Matt Campbell. That's part of the reason he came, because when he coached here, he saw how much the people cared, how crazy the people were tailgating, right? And I know we've got to see yet where Jimmy Rogers goes, but this program has gotten there because of that succession of hires. And even I would argue McDermott was a good hire on paper, right? Like he's been a terrific coach his entire career. His players didn't really buy into what he did here, and his coaching style didn't fit the league at the time. But clearly you can't call McDermott a bad coach. I think he's going to end up probably in the Hall of Fame. So I think he's gotten these hires right. Even the ones he hadn't, they made sense on paper. I still don't think you can call Steve Prohm a failure. I think he was given a bad situation and having to be Fred Hoiberg 2.0, which nobody would succeed at. And Kevin Jackson didn't work as a wrestling coach, but he was an all-time great and an Olympian. So it's not like you picked some random. So I think that's probably his. Those are really, in my opinion, his 2 biggest accomplishments. And I think towards the end, not everyone will agree because of how it went, his attitude, the Twitter stuff, just being kind of surly. We need to get into that, right? But in terms of the thing you can't dispute, if you're like 19 or 20 and listening to this, is what Iowa State athletics look like 20 years ago compared to now. I mean, it's not even close.
Well, so, I mean, just look at, I mean, obviously, Matt Campbell's gone, but
right.
Look at where Matt Campbell got the football program to, where we're regularly winning 7-8 games a year, finishing in the top half of the Big 12 almost every single year. TJ Otzelberger, who Jamie Pollard, I think, wanted to be the head basketball coach, and when the timing was right, he finally came in. Been successful every single year, finishing in the top half of the Big 12, competing for Big 12 championships every year. Bill Fenley wasn't a Jamie Pollard hire, but the women's basketball program has continued to be good and draw great crowds year after year while Jamie Pollard's been the athletic director. So like for as much grief as Iowa State gets about money, just like raw money that we are able to spend and how much we're able to raise, like we're getting like the bang for our buck. We are punching above our weight when it comes to how much money we raise and how much money we spend. And Jamie Pollard's a big part of that, because I can't speak to this in 2005, but there was just no infrastructure and no donor list and no Cyclone Club or anything. And look at where we've gotten to. Like, there's a reason a lot of people are feeling optimistic about Jimmy Rogers' first season. It's because, hey, we've got a history now of some success, and you would think year one used to be a year 0 where, hey, we're going to be lucky if we go 2-10. Now, like 6 wins, that's an attainable goal to shoot for. And I know people are going to be in the stands. I know that Jack Trice is going to be full. I know the tailgating lots are going to be full. Like,
right.
We're a quality Big 12 program, which we would not have been 20 years ago. Like, it wasn't possible.
And the Campbell hire, I mean, okay, let's stick on the hires a little bit, right? Fred Hoiberg, when he was hired, right, Keeney? I know you were paying attention to our basketball at that point. We were all excited, but what a ballsy hire. What was his
Fred Hoiberg was like, I remember the reaction of the hire was like,
he was like an associate GM for the Timberwolves. Had
never coached. No one saw it coming, and no one thought it was going to work.
Nope. Totally out of left field, and it worked fabulously. Like, he parlayed it into an NBA job, which later led him to coach at Nebraska, right? Like, that hire was so unconventional and outside the box, and it could not have worked any better. And it was risky. Like if Fred Hoiberg was horrible here, he would have probably ruined a lot of the goodwill he built growing up here and over his playing career. I remember writing the article, Keeney, for the site back in 15 when he was let go. Again, I've been around this group that long. The list of people that were kind of brought up for the job to replace Rhodes was long, and you're going to recognize all these names. This is from Athlon. I've even found the old article that I've written, but tell me if there's a name on this you haven't heard of. I think there's maybe one. Matt Wells, who was coaching at Utah State at the time. Chris Ash, who was with Urban Meyer at Ohio State. Dino Babers, who I believe was at Syracuse, was at Bowling Green at the time. Rod Carey, who was at Northern Illinois. Willie Fritz was coaching at Georgia Southern. Scott Frost, who was an OC at Oregon. That was before his stint at USC. Doug Meacham, who was calling the offense for TCU with old friend Gary Patterson. Todd Monken, who is the head coach at Southern Miss. Ken Niamata Tololo, who is at Navy. I did say that right. I stumbled a little bit. I knew it was going to trip me up. Brock Spack, who is at Illinois State. That's the only name on this one I didn't realize or I didn't recognize. Keeney, those guys all got shots at head coaching jobs very quickly after this, right? Almost all of them did. And at the time, that was kind of a who's who in I would say the mid-major, not power ranks. And Matt was kind of an off-the-radar hire for an Ohio State guy to jump to the Midwest and go to Iowa State. Toledo's a very good MAC program, has been for a long time. And, man, within 2 years, remember we had it was his second year, Kirk Herbstreit's on Twitter saying he's gone. So I think, again, we don't have to be thankful he was here that long. I know it's a pretty bitter wound, but the fact that he was here that long with all the NBA players he put in the NFL, the attention we've got nationally, the 2 Big 12 title games, is going to set this program up, Keeney, for potentially continued growth over the next 15 years. And that is truly a transcendent hire.
But if Matt Campbell hated Jamie Pollard, if those two didn't get along at all, Matt Campbell wouldn't have stayed at Ames for 10 years.
Correct. Yeah, but it was such a good hire. Like, you're drawing a name out of a hat when that job opens up back in 2015. Right? Like, all those people I just named were all good candidates. I'm sure their agents were all reaching out. And we were one of the first openings that year other than the midseason ones. Cause I mean, it happened that Monday after K-State, he was out. So anyway, I give him a lot of credit for all those things. We probably do need to talk about the way the tenure ended. And I know you and many other fall into this camp. Do you describe it as just being old and crotchety? Is that how you would describe it? Is that fair? I'm talking about Jamie.
I think being just stuck to his convictions and being like very steadfast in believing what he believed. You know, he didn't want any outside opinions from anybody. Like, he knew what was best for Iowa State no matter what. And if you told him, hey, I think we could be doing this better, his response was, well, I'm gonna block you on social media because I don't want to see that. I don't want anybody really telling me anything that I don't want to hear. And yeah, you know, you have a track record of success. You've been good at Iowa State for a long time. You've got Iowa State elevated to a respectable Big 12 program in a number of different sports. Yeah, if I was in that position, I probably wouldn't want, 10,000 people tweeting at me about how much they want to drink a beer in Jack Trice Stadium. But for as much as Jamie might have been forward thinking, I think that this is a great time for Iowa State to bring in a new voice, because it's it's an interesting, this is just the thing that everybody says, like, oh, this is a transformative time in college athletics. It really is. Iowa State is in an interesting spot where we are going to be fighting to fill that max amount of revenue sharing that we can do every year. And we need to turn over every stone and do everything we can to raise money. And we need somebody in here who is good at raising money and really going to hit the ground running and hopefully just like not say no to anything.
You had to feel this was coming with the president change, right? Like, that's almost always what happens. You get new leadership in, and what do they want to do, Keeney? They want their guys. They want their guys. But if you think about it, like, Jamie I had heard retirement rumors about him dating back to like pre-COVID, like we knew that
this was going to come at some point, and then COVID threw a big wrench in everything and caused us to pivot on a whole bunch of stuff. And CyTown being part of that, I'm not saying it's directly connected to COVID,
Right.
but like it hasn't gone as quickly or probably as efficiently as Jamie wanted. I'm sure he thought, hey, you know what, we're going to start building CyTown in like 2021, and by 2023 it's going to be done, and then I'm going to retire, and I'll be there at the ribbon cutting, and then I'll say see you later. I'll enjoy the fruits of my labor after that. But you know, you got to adjust. You got to do things differently. So it's not a surprise
Agreed.
that he's stepping out now, but it is a really good time for Iowa State to bring in somebody new. So yeah, he'll get his flowers. He deserves his flowers. He's a transformative figure in Iowa State athletics. He's on the Mount Rushmore of Iowa State athletics figures. Everybody says that. I think that's absolutely the case. But Iowa State needs somebody new. Iowa State needs a new voice, and Iowa State needs somebody who is, like I said, willing to do whatever it takes to try and raise money in 2026. Because unfortunately, that's all college athletics is now.
Unfortunately, and I know that's probably what most people are wondering. In terms of where does this go from an AD, like a search perspective, and I have thoughts.
Should we talk logos real quick before we talk about like, okay, what's next? Because there's a lot of comments and a lot of people that think it's time to ditch the Block I State logo.
I'm sure that is definitely on the table with a new administration. If you look at the way that this has been going, and I have noticed, to me, it really seems like the new staff, Keeney, really likes like the Cyclones script.
The script.
So
yep.
But can you have? I'm trying to think. Are there?
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I guess I'll just give you my personal thoughts here while we work on getting Matt back in here. We always say that Jamie is messing with our internet whenever we talk about things that are maybe even slightly critical of him. So he must just be tuning in and must be wanting to do something about that. Hey, Matt.
Man, I defend Jamie Pollard.
Did Jamie get you?
He still blocks me from the stream. He got me.
He got you.
Can you make the script a logo? Like, does anyone else do that? I'm trying to think of another, like an NFL team that kind of uses. I can't think of one in college, but it just looks so good on the helmet. Like, I think the iState is fine on some apparel, but I would much rather see them ditch it. The old staff, I mean, with trotting out, you can't put out the Tornado Psi helmet and then shelve it permanently. Like, I want to see that thing for several home games as well. But I do think you're going to see it change to be more of the Cyclones with the iState going away. And I would hope they do it for basketball too. The newer ones that we have that say that, or the old Iowa State ones, are by far the best uniforms we have. Let's ditch everything else. Simple. So
I know why people are passionate about logos. I am not at this point. It doesn't really bother me. The Block I State is pretty boring, but I think we have better options out there. I guess Florida has gators on their helmet sometimes.
It does say that, yeah, and they look great. And but they look great. I really like that. I'll look it up. I bet it is a primary for them. What they should do, right, is they can make the iState, right, still be like the logo, but don't let it be the ones you put on the helmet. It should never be on a football helmet ever again. It should be Cyclones.
I've got no problem with iState being in the middle of the football field. Like, that doesn't.
Correct. That looks fine. I actually think it looks fine on the middle of the field, right? Like, I don't want it on the uniforms. Yeah, that is called the Florida Gators script logo. So that is definitely one that they use. But yeah, I think it'll be curious because I think Pollard let Campbell do kind of whatever he wanted. But Jamie was still old school. If you get a younger athletic director, I would not shock me if they want to modernize that logo. I don't want the iState to go away. I don't hate it as much as some people do, Keeney. Like, if you're going to throw it right here on a polo, it looks really nice, I think. But I just, again, don't want it on a helmet. Don't want it on the uniforms.
Matt, I don't really want to speculate on like who exactly are candidates, for Iowa State because I have no idea. Nobody has any idea. If anybody's telling you, "Hey, this is a candidate, this is a leading candidate for the job," they're not.
I think
They
they're lying.
don't.
Yeah, they're probably lying.
They're lying, or they're trying to get people to pay attention to them. But um, I guess what are you looking for in somebody that's going to take over? It feels like a couple schools of thought here. There's the athletic director, someone who's doing it at a smaller scale, someone who's in like the FCS or maybe like a Mountain West or something like that,
Yeah.
versus maybe somebody who comes from a different world, someone who's not really involved with college athletics at all.
I want them to kind of rework the athletic staff. I don't know that you need um like the associate ADs and all these people just kind of focused on um the athletic side of it. It's a tough balance because you have to have that, right? Like the soccer team needs oversight, right? Like you can't just ignore that. But I think if you could get an athletic director with the right connections to the people that would matter in the corporate world, that's moved in really high circles, that is by far the most impactful thing for our athletic department. It's not a great administrator who's going to really make sure that women's basketball is buttoned up. That's not. It's not what at the time the sport dictates. That doesn't mean you just hire a new AD and you keep the current structure. I think you have to fix it. And my guess is, if it was me, I would go with a more of a fundraising, like very public facing type athletic director. And then you've got to either have a really good administrator that is already on staff, or you can bring somebody else in to take on more of the admin side. I think, oh, there he is. I think that's what I would do. The other option,
Chris
right, is
Williams
just
Lover is watching live, and thank you for doing so.
thank you for
Also
that.
entered the chat.
I mean, the other
How do you
other
feel
option
about
is
how do you feel about using
go ahead.
the? Let's get this up. Okay, iState is our quote unquote logo, but CyTown is on apparel.
I mean, I'm good with the Signato anytime. I do like the cyclone script.
What's your preferred CyTown? Is it the old school one with the tertiary blue, or is it the newer one that was on the helmets last year?
I kind of like the new one. It's almost a little dressed up. I don't, man. I want to say I love tertiary blue, and I do, but not enough to like have it make a comeback. It's
It kind
fun
of
to
feels like
like.
it's from a bygone era,
It does. It's fun to kind of just wear
everybody
it.
had tertiary blue in the 90s as some part, or like teal or something like that. I know people love it, but yeah, it does feel like it's from an old era. It's like great for nostalgia, but maybe not for the 2020s.
That's exactly how I feel. It's fun if you make a round of the. It is elite. Make a round of it every now and then. But I actually really like kind of the direction that they've gone. Okay, now here's a conversation that no one's ready for. Josiah is punching Cy Keeney is incredible. You know what I'm talking about? My dad always called it Death March Cy, where he looked like he's literally out to try to murder somebody. That one is incredible. That could become the logo, and nobody would be happier but me.
This is like the magic of live shows where this is a topic that gets people fired up. So I love it. I love the comments, everybody. I love it. You're chiming in and giving us your opinions. Yeah, Matt, I think the role of the athletic director, like we talked about, is just someone who's going to raise money and someone who's going to tap every resource available. And it sounds like that's probably the direction that, I shouldn't say it sounds like, this is pure speculation, but from what we know, the new president, David Cook, is, he's a proponent of athletics. We've talked about it. And he's a guy that understands that athletics needs money in order to be successful. So I would have to imagine that we're going to hire somebody who's of that same mindset. You want connectivity between the president and the AD.
Oh, I would agree. And the way that Otzelberger right now, right, he kind of runs his own program. I'm guessing they're going to give Jimmy the same autonomy. Right. Like I think there are other programs where the athletic directors are maybe a lot more involved in how they're run. I don't think Jamie was that for these coaches. I think he pretty much just let them go. And I'm assuming that's what they're going to want to continue. I do think one of the more important things they're probably going to have to do is figure out what to do with women's basketball.
What do you mean by that?
Bill's contract expires at the end of this year. We don't know if he plans to retire, if he wants to stay. My assumption is if they have a good season, they would probably want him to continue. But I don't know what he wants. I don't know what a new AD may want if there's a new one hired by then. So I will just be very curious to see how that plays out.
Is it more about like nailing the transition from Bill to the next coach, or is it like literally what's going to happen in March of next year, like when the season's over?
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, if he has a really good season, is that enough to? I mean, again, he's a legend, and he's I think probably deserved the right to play out the season. But you know what happens a lot with new athletic directors? They want to bring their people in too. So I just don't know. And I hope the season goes well and he can stay because he means a lot to all of us here. And I think there's a world where his program can still succeed. So I don't know.
There's been a few people talking about wanting baseball back as a priority for the next athletic director. It's not going to happen. And Jamie caught a lot of flack for baseball, for Iowa State not having baseball. He's not the person who ended the program.
No, I agreed. And I don't know.
I just don't see it happening.
The only way you could even do it is if it could make revenue. If you could prove that it would make money. I don't know why otherwise you would bring a sport,
baseball programs are not profitable. And if you're
generally they're
a
not
baseball program, that's like 25 to 30 scholarships that you need to fund. It's not going to happen. I would be surprised if more schools don't start cutting baseball. I think it's more expensive especially with travel, with these expanded conferences and having to go across the country for games. It's not going to be practical for everybody to keep doing it.
Agreed.
All right, here's a question. What about AD by committee? Which sounds
that's kind of what I'm hoping they do, Jonah. That's kind of what I'm hoping that they'll do.
You're thinking deputies that have a significant amount of power and sway, and like someone who's kind of the figurehead.
Yeah, maybe you take this role and you break it out a little bit. That's kind of what I'm wondering if they'll go that route. For sure, though, you're going to need the focus on financials. I think that you can't get away from it. You can't hire someone in this day and age and not have that be a huge consideration. So, yeah, it's interesting. I do know some people wondered about, why that June timeline. I just think that's when his contract expires, June of next year. So he's saying, to me, that reads, hey, if it takes that long, I will be here. I'm not going to just retire in a month and say, see ya. But again, I don't think it'll take that long. I think it'll happen quicker.
Do you want to, should we pivot? I want to talk about CyTown a little bit, especially because there were some updates shared this week.
Let's do it. Yeah. I was excited to see him.
Let's also shout out the Iowa Distilling Company real quick as our sponsor over there in Cumming, Iowa. I mean, if you're not getting to Cumming, I don't know what you're doing. Great place, great drinks, great spirits, 1858 vodka, Prairie Fire. Iowa Distilling, great sponsor of CF After Dark. I want to shout them out. Matt, CyTown, we've got some updates here. Most importantly, more bridge.
Oh, come on. That
Bridge University.
That's what I was the most excited to see. I was thinking, like, how do I make more edits? Where do we need more bridges in Ames? Can we put one like over Welch?
I'll tell you a place
from AJ's to Patty's, or a bridge like from Outlaws.
CyTown needs a bridge. You know what desperately needs a bridge? Yeah. Is something over Lincoln Way that helps with game day traffic.
That would be nice. Yep. Need a bridge for cars to get out of the Poncheros on South Duff, because if you're trying to turn left, you're gonna be there an hour. Good luck. That'd be a great one.
I think South. I think South 13th that has the one intersection where just you can never turn left.
That's a bad one. That's a bad one. A bridge from my house directly to the stadium. It's already a short walk, but we could make it even shorter. Can you just cut the middleman
It's
out.
pretty close, but
Pretty close,
you
but we
know,
can get
it's
closer.
pretty. Yeah.
They're actually
Yeah.
putting
All
another
right. Fair
bridge
enough.
over Lake. They're putting another bridge over Lake Laverne. They actually are working on that
That's true. I
right now.
saw that one.
That's right. We are
Look out for
hooked.
swans on
We
that
are
one.
hooked on bridges, folks. We have a problem. We're addicted to bridges. Okay. So for those of you wondering, I'm going to lay out, like, I think Chris talked about it a little bit in the Daily Clone, but I've been kind of up to date a little bit on this. I mean, I've been a big fan of this project from the get-go. I actually heard about it kind of before it was even announced through what measly and meager sources I have. Yeah, bridge. So I think what slowed it down, and again, I don't want to talk out of my ass, Keeney, but this is the way I understand it, is that Iowa State thought they could act as the real estate developer for CyTown. And I think realized very quickly that that is not an easy thing to do. So McFarland was theirs. They handled that directly. That is almost done, by the way. For those wondering what's going to be in there, what is it? So if you live near Ames, McFarland is spread out in basically 4 locations across the city. They're in a couple Hy-Vees. The urgent care is way up north. A lot of stuff is tied to the hospital. They have buildings across the street from the hospital. They're moving pediatrics, physical therapy, and urgent care. I think radiology will be down there. A ton of stuff, right? Like basically everything other than I think adult medicine. Pediatrics alone, Katie, how often do you have to go to the doctor with your kids? I mean, it's all the freaking time.
Well, you've got way more kids than I do, so I don't go as often as I used to.
I do have a lot more doctor visits.
You got 4 of them. You're probably there like every other week.
We're in the throes, and then it seems like they get sick in the winter, and anyway. So that will be huge for them, and I think on game days they won't be open. They'll have the I think they'll maybe be moved back to the old facility. I've got a couple friends who are actually going to end up moving over there that work as nurses or in pediatrics. So that's a great day for McFarland to kind of centralize everything. I think being on those football weekends, I'm sure it'll be inconvenient, but and they needed more space from what I understand. Again, I'm not an expert, but just talking to some people involved that'll end up moving it. While they're nervous about a few things, they are generally, I think, excited. But Goldenrod is now developing all of it. So basically Iowa State, I'm assuming Goldenrod is leasing the properties. They've got to develop it, get it built, and then find tenants. So Iowa State is not doing that anymore. That company is in charge of it, and they are waiting. Essentially, it's now in Goldenrod to get all of that filled out. They are on the hook, not JB Pollard, not Iowa State. I don't know how the revenue gets shared. That is all worked in there somewhere. My assumption is Goldenrod's got to have some of their stuff paid for, but eventually stuff will start flowing back to Iowa State. I think there's room for everything in there is going to have a partner, a sponsor. I think Soukup's already involved. There'll be Bud Light beer gardens and all kinds of stuff, right? Like that is all going to generate money because those companies are going to want to sponsor those things. But what was just announced is I'm guessing what they're breaking ground on next, which is the next group of buildings. So you've got
we need a Nelson reset here, by the way, because your internet's acting up a little bit. You need to yell at your children to get off the internet, Matt.
Get off the streaming.
Do you want to?
They don't.
Do you want to try refreshing real quick?
We got you.
Need a Stas to be resurrected and find a home in CyTown. I would love that. The problem is Stas needs to pay their rent and pay their employees if they're going to be there.
It's always a little inconvenient article there. We should have the engineer students just build the bridges. That can be their capstone. That'd be great.
Matt, what can you tell me about this this hotel development and parking and all that stuff that is supposedly going to be a part of the project?
Yeah, and if you saw the pictures, I mean, it's a big hotel with what looks like a rooftop bar. There is one just like it in Lincoln. It's called the Scarlet. I believe it is a Marriott property, which I believe this one will be as well. Could have, Hilton Coliseum. Part of me feels like it should be a Hilton. Just, I don't know if maybe that makes sense. The plan though is to tie it to the conference center, to Sheeman, which during the pandemic, you'll remember, Keeney, before really this was announced, athletics took over management of that area. So it's all tied together. That hotel will connect to the conference center, which will connect to Hilton. enabling them to use both for big trade shows and big conferences, which if you've ever been to State FFA, they already do. And that hotel will be packed, Keeney, year round, because if you've ever been near campus, where do you stay? You have all two options, three now, all the way down by 30, south of Ryman Gardens. If not there, you're all the way in West Ames, or you're all the way on the east side of town by the interstate. There is nothing over there. There's nothing on Main Street. There's nothing in North Ames. Just with campus visits, Keeney, and people coming to see kids, that place will be packed. Not to mention all the winter sports, wrestling, basketball, women's basketball, football, take your pick, right? It will be busy. And it looks to me like it is going to be a big hotel, which is probably smart. It'll be awesome. It's in my opinion, long overdue. It will also tie in with them wanting to have more conferences, have more concerts. Like there's this Friday night. I think Goldenrod said their intention is to have 6 to 8 shows a year, split between Jack Trice and Hilton, like big concerts. Perfect. You've got a hotel attached to where you're going to have those concerts, essentially. Also, Keeney, your Dragon State basketball up to Ames now going forward, where that thing will be absolutely packed for 2 or 3 straight weeks. So I think all of this does make sense. And Ames, quite frankly, needs a hotel and needs to revamp that conference center. And Iowa State athletics was the only way any of that was going to happen. If you like CY Stevens or Fisher Theater, great. Athletics now works for them. Hopefully athletics can get more money to put into those 2 facilities. This is how they'll do that. So it's maybe not as much about athletics and more about the university and just Ames in general. A bunch of those buildings are putting in Keeney as well. Like, so in CyTown, I think going forward past McFarland, you have 2 big buildings on one side and 3 on the other. Of those 3, one will be a big anchor restaurant, a brewery, or something like that. The other 2 will primarily be offices with retail maybe on the first level, a coffee shop, a CVS, whatever. The research park south of campus, Keeney, is out of space. I mean, out. They have like 150 offices that startups can use. I think there's maybe even a waiting list. Like they are telling Iowa State, we need more space. So that's where a bunch of those are going to get moved to. They already have essentially captive people who want those offices. And a lot of people who are in that startup hub, Keeney, are ISU grads. My neighbors with Distinct, which is a hog barn monitoring business, 2 of my neighbors started that, that's where they office up. And they're running out of space. So some of that is also a tie-in with the research park. So again, it's not just like Jamie Pollard said, we're going to build 18 bars down there. Well, that sounds fun. There's a lot more going on. So I think it's going to take a little patience. It's all also, I would say, Keeney, maybe this wasn't billed the right way. Maybe it's our fault for getting too excited about the wrong vision, but I definitely don't think it was sold this way 4 years ago. So I don't know if it just evolved over time, or again, maybe we were misled initially. And maybe, do you think that's where some of the pushback comes from? Because like what I just described to you, I think most people would be very on board with. Or maybe it's just the whole parking lot getting downsized. I'm not sure. I've never been able to quite put my finger on it.
I mean, what I remember is that this thing was sold as a like power and light district version for Ames, So
that's what I
see. Definitely not turning into that.
No,
right.
Whether that was publicly said, maybe it was hinted. I don't know. Maybe it was casually mentioned once as it could be like this by. I don't think we would have just invented it on our own, but maybe this is just one giant Mandela effect where we've all done this to ourselves with our own expectations. But I think it will be great. It's maybe not quite what we thought, but it will be busy. And Keeney, I think most Cyclone fans, again, if you drive 2 hours from games, it doesn't affect you. But as someone who lives here in Ames, 2 blocks from this thing, not even, I think it'll be busy year round. There are so many events that happen at Hilton Coliseum, at CY Stevens, at Jack Trice. And they have so many more in the works between the state tournaments and all the shows and concerts, right? Like it will be busy. And I know summer in Ames is quiet, Keeney, but you know who's here all summer? Families visiting campus. People coming for orientation. The Nelson family, we're always here. Right? Like you admit 3,500 freshmen every year, but you maybe have double that come and visit, and they bring their parents. A lot of that happens in the spring, in the summer, once athletics is over. So again, it's not like there's nobody here all summer. 4-H conference is going on in the next couple of weeks. There's Odyssey of the Mind comes every year. You have Special Olympics Iowa that happens in Ames. There is a ton of stuff that goes on in the summer here. So I think that thing will be busy. And then once September hits, man, you've got winter sports. You've got events twice a week from September through March, right? So like, there is plenty to keep that place full and occupied. And I don't think anyone's really maybe thought through, but I think it will make money for Iowa State. And if it was such a bad idea, I don't think you would have seen so many other universities essentially kind of riff off of it here in the last couple of years. But
all right,
you got to see it. Something's got to get broken, ground broken on, right? I think a lot of people are frustrated by how empty that lot has been for 2 years.
Right. All right. I'm going to refresh my screen here real quick just to make sure, like, we're going to power through, work on getting some technology upgrades here as well, especially with football season on the horizon. We don't want to have these issues that keep popping up. So give me just a second.
Boy, Keeney has dropped this. It gives me all the power, which is great for me. No, we're actually going to jump into talking about the football schedule here. Was kind of our next topic that we wanted to hit on. Keeney, I can hear you. I can see you.
Yep.
I was just teeing up going through Iowa State's schedule to land on kind of what our top road games are that we would attend if we had the ability to. Where our interest is the highest. Does that sound right?
Yeah. So what I thought would be fun, this just, fun off-season activity. We look at Iowa State's going to play 5 road football games this year. I just wanted us to power rank 1 through 5, just personal opinion. If money was no object, like, what game would you want to go to? Like, 1 being the most, 5 being the least. And then, we're going to go ahead and share our list here. Going to road games is fun. I'd encourage anybody who hasn't done it before to get yourself on a road trip and do it. I got to say, though, this year, the road slate is really uninspiring. Not a lot of good options for realistically making trips, but yeah, let's go through it. Let's go through it, Matt. So you got a list. I've got a list.
I'm going to start at the bottom. To me, it's easy.
Yeah, let's start at number 5. What is the road trip that you would least like to make this football season?
I was just here for a work meeting a month ago. It is truly a bunch of strip malls clustered around Mickey Mouse, and that is UCF on November 20th. I'm sorry, I no interest. Like,
I think UCF was also last on my list.
What is Orlando? I don't understand. It's flat as a pancake. There's lakes everywhere. It's just like cluster homes here, strip mall over here. Like, there's like 14 towns in one little area, but they're all crazy spread out. I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, what is it? Someone explain Orlando to me, please.
Lots and lots of problems with this one. Yeah, not interested in going to Disney World. The game's on a Friday. It's the week before Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
Nothing against UCF. Like, they're probably not going to be very good this fall. I've heard that the Bounce House isn't a great place to go to games. This is just not one that appeals to me at all.
No,
it's not even drivable. So definitely UCF at number 5. Matt, what do you have at number 4?
Yeah, it's Iowa. It's got to be. It would be hilarious to beat them again, even though they've been doing nothing but making fun of us for being broke and losing Matt Campbell all offseason. So while that would be hilarious, I've been to a game there. For those of you who haven't, and like Iowa fans, if any of you come across this, like, clip it if you want. But it is truly one of the few places I've been where I felt unwell and physically unsafe for like most of the football game. Like, it kind of smells like pee everywhere in there too. I don't know if it's like a Wrigley Field situation where you got people peeing in cups in the corner, Keeney, but like leaving, we were there, the game that I was there, we won when I was in college, and I got threatened like 7 times in different creative ways on the way out of the stadium. And during the game, they were quiet because they were winning most of it, but boy, it turned once they lost. We got back to Ames as quick as we could. So I do think the night game at 6:30, that will be fun. It'll be a cool atmosphere. I don't like going to games there. And I can say that because I've been to one.
All right. So number 4 on my list was BYU, and this is the other Friday night
game.
game.
Really? Oh yeah, Friday night.
Well, here's the deal. Like, Provo is not easy to get to. It takes a long time to get there. It's another Friday game. I think there could be some appeal to doing a Friday night game and then having the whole day Saturday to do whatever you want, but not really that interested in going to Provo. Got to fly all the way to Salt Lake City to get there.
It makes work travel.
I don't want to
you,
feed
you,
into.
you have to take work off clearly if you're going to do that, right? And where are you going to tailgate? Where are you going to get a beer?
Exactly. Like, I don't want to feed into the whole, oh, you know, you guys are drunken slobs thing, but like, it's not like there's a lot of places to go tailgate and grab a beer in Provo, Utah. Like,
No,
I don't know. I hear they give out ice cream. That's kind of cool, but I'm gonna say Provo's just not high on my list. All right, number three. Number three is where I put Iowa. I've been to a Cyhawk game at Kinnick. I've been to a few games at Kinnick in my lifetime. It's just, look, everyone loves to talk about how great their tailgating is. I mean, if you like walking a mile in between
a
everywhere you
mile,
go, like if
walking
that's
2
your
miles.
thing, then yeah, it's probably pretty great. But yeah, the only thing that puts that over BYU for me is just proximity. Like, you can make that trip in one day and get there and get back. That's about the only appeal for me.
That's fair. They're tailgating too. Like when we tailgated. One, we walked like 3 miles, but two, a lot of it we literally like stood in an alley, like in an alley behind a house. And I know it's like, oh, you didn't know anybody. People are standing in streets, Keeney, and then like they have to move when cars go by. It's bizarre. A lot of it is in houses or tiny little backyards or a parking lot that holds 40 cars that's just packed with people. It's weird. If you're a college student, I'm sure it's awesome because there's houses right up next to the stadium. It's not a great setup, and I know they talk about how much fun it is, but it's definitely very different. I think if you're a really big donor, there are some lots near the stadium that you can get into. I'm sure those are much more convenient. It has nothing on ours. It's not close.
You're getting your 10,000 steps a day in if you're tailgating in Iowa City.
No question.
You're also drinking like 21 beers, but you know, you gotta walk.
I do think it's a little.
Way. What I remember,
it's a little wilder. Like they're a little crazy. There's no question.
What I remember is like parking in a field and then being multiple miles away from the stadium, and like that's where we tailgated, and then we had to walk all the way to the stadium from there.
We walked 2 miles to get to a bus stop over by Carver to get to the stadium. Like it was a trail of tears, man. We were almost out of beer by the time we got to the tailgate because we had been walking or on a bus for so long. I went back and forth. I'm gonna put Baylor at 3. I debated flopping the 2. 1, don't like Baylor. Just as a program, don't like Waco as a city. Nothing against Chip and Joanna or Shiplap. I'm in on both. She has a great drop biscuit recipe. I make it all the time. If you haven't found it, Google it. It's awesome.
We've got a Joanna Gaines cookbook in our house, I think.
I do. I have 2. They're great. They're actually
browse much of it, but we have one.
They're very good. Matt,
have you ever actually been to Waco?
I've driven through it, and did we go to Silos? Yes, we did stop by their place, and I want to say got a coffee. Yeah, it's nice. Waco to me is just like an interstate city between, Austin and Dallas. Like I don't know, doesn't really stand out. However, I could be convinced to go to Texas in November. I feel like we've played them a lot down there, Keeney, when it's surface of the sun hot, and we had shade gate or tent gate, however you want to call it. Keeney, it feels like for the last 10 years, if we play Baylor, it's early in the season. It's like one of the first conference games. So I think it'll be
Matt. I was at
for this team to get them in November.
The game where
you were at Tent Gate?
Or wait, was that 2021?
Yes.
Or was that 2019? Okay, so 2019, I went to Waco.
It was
for the Baylor.
It was 21, and if you remember, there was bad road construction. I think because Waco's so small, they stayed either in Austin or Fort Worth, and their bus got like the drive took like 3 hours longer, and they basically had like an hour to warm up, and then on top of it, it was 130 degrees on the field, and they didn't give them tents.
That's the problem with Waco. It's the problem with their stadium is that it's all metal. And if it's the middle of September and you're in the sun, there's just no avoiding it.
You're just going to get cooked.
I don't even remember being like concourses you could go stand in to try and get some shade. Like you're just absolutely roasting the entire game.
Yeah, but in November it would be better. If it was September, I'd put that at 5. Not doing it.
Hmm. All right. Well, I
my
guess
number
I put
two, my
Waco.
number
I put
two, I'm
Baylor
gonna
at number
go.
2.
You had Baylor at 2. Okay. I put BYU at 2. So we just flipped. I think they give out ice cream. I think that's great. I think the views would be incredible in October in the mountains. Yeah, the beer situation is not ideal. I've been to Rice Eccles. I was at the Utah game here 2 years ago with my dad. It was great. Their fans were okay, not the nicest, which plays out from what you see online, I think. But it is beautiful. I don't love the Friday, but yeah, if you wanted to explore Park City or that area for a couple days on the weekend, you could. And I just think their stadium's got a beautiful environment, so that's why I put them 2. So we both had the same number 1 accidentally.
Well, accidentally. I mean, it's just we're of the same mind on this. So number 1 is Arizona, obviously for both of
Yeah.
us. I'm going to this game. I'm excited about it.
Oh,
I've been to
fantastic.
Arizona before. I have
Thanks for
not
the
been to
invitation.
Tucson, but I've been to Phoenix. Kind of a fun city to go to.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just I think it's a clear number 1 for this year. A little bit biased because I'm actually going to be doing the trip, but yeah, I mean, I think this is just almost by elimination. The other 4 kind of not great, but I don't know. I've heard good things about Tucson. I know Chris Williams
I've
has been a
heard
few times.
great things about Tucson. I think you'll have a fabulous time. Got mountains right next to it.
There's zero chance that Caleb Love is going to make a half-court shot in my face.
That's right.
So because we're going to a football game.
I still can't think or talk about that. It pains me. That's a great road trip. You know what? I don't have that on my like radar to go, Keeney, but now I'm starting to think maybe I should. Maybe
you should, man. You got a bunch of kids that you got to get away from at some point, right?
I do have
or would you bring the whole family down with you?
A welcomed break. We could maybe bring the whole family down. Get a little Airbnb in the mountains. Yeah.
We'll see.
My wife
we'll see about that one.
Sure. Okay, can we talk about one bit broader point with the schedule here really quick? That I think if you're looking for reasons to be optimistic about Cyclone football, which you may or may not be, the schedule, I'm going to whisper it. The schedule kind of rocks. It kind of rocks, Keeney. I kind of love it. Can I explain why?
Depends. Kind of depends on what you think we're going to be.
I mean, I think, okay, for frame of reference, right? I think 6-6. They're going to find a way to win three or 4 Big 12 games because I don't have a very high opinion of the league, unfortunately. That might be too aggressive, right? 5-7 is maybe more realistic. But, Keeney, you get 4 of your first 5 at home. That never happens. They're going to be playing at home until they go to Provo, Keeney, on October 9th. That's crazy to me. And then you know what you get after that Friday game? You get a bye week. Right. That's an incredible way to break up the start of your season. West Virginia at home, who the hell knows what that team's going to be? Probably nothing.
I mean,
to write home
Iowa
about,
State.
Right?
Iowa State will definitely be favored to win that game.
I would think so. Utah at home, we suspect they will be better. They could be very good. Again, first-year coach, who knows? I don't think anybody really knows. I think if you evaluate Utah as a program, you would have to assume they're going to win 7-8 games. But they're going to have to come play names. You just truly don't know. Bowling Green, game you should win. SEMO, a game you should win. At Iowa, I actually think because of the defense, is going to be, they might be favored by a touchdown, but we've seen goofy things in that series for years. It would be very Cyhawk for Iowa State to win that game by a touchdown.
It would not be the craziest thing. Like, no. It wouldn't be the upset of all upsets if Iowa State wins a Cyhawk game this year. It really wouldn't.
Right. And then you're at BYU, who I think BYU will be very good. That will not be a fun game. Wouldn't expect them to win it. Then you're at Arizona, who should be good. We think, right? Like, should be pretty good.
It's a totally different team, obviously.
Correct.
But
very hard to try to evaluate them.
Think about how we manhandled Arizona last year, just in being more physical than them. You know, they play that weird defense. I don't know if they change coordinators, but they play that weird defense where just everybody kind of moves around and they're not really big. What is Iowa State trying to build on the offensive side of the ball for this year?
Beef.
They have a lot of big offensive linemen, and we're going to try and run the football. So that could be, again, provided they didn't change coordinators. I haven't done all my research on that. Could be a good matchup for Iowa State. Could be something where we might be able to run downhill on them, hopefully.
Right. I mean, then you've got Oklahoma State at home. I think Oklahoma State is actually really good. And if I were to put a future on someone to win the league at great odds, it'd probably be them. Because they're bringing basically an entire team over and a great coach and a great quarterback. But games at home, right? Like that helps. And then from there, right, you get a Baylor team again. Keeney, who knows? Most likely not going to be great. You get a Cincinnati team at home. Not going to be great. You're at UCF. Not going to be great. And then you end the season at home with a rivalry game in K-State, who also has a new coach. And yes, Avery Johnson is still there, but they've gone through a lot of upheaval too. I mean, that back half of the schedule, Keeney, the last 4 games, I think are not just winnable. They might be favored in 3 out of those 4. The 2 home games, I think they'll probably be favored. I guess it depends on what Kansas State is by that point in the season, but right of there's no Texas Tech on this schedule. I don't know. I think Utah, BYU, and Oklahoma State will all be top half of the league teams. So those are 3. Utah and BYU and Oklahoma State for sure are very tough games. I kind of throw Arizona and BYU and Oklahoma State. I think Arizona and Utah I kind of throw in the same category. They should be good. Does that mean we're going to get blown out? I don't think so. I'm not here to tell you there's a path to 8-4, Keeney, but I do think this schedule, if you're trying to win 6 games in your first year, I don't know. I think you got to like the way that this sets up. That's just my assessment of the front half and the back half. Does that match kind of how you feel?
I think the back half of the schedule is going to be more difficult, and it's better to have tougher games later in the year when you're brand new, when you're trying to put a bunch of pieces together and see what you got. Like Utah at home early in the year is not great, but like you talked about, it's at home. Utah's breaking in a bunch of new guys because they got a new coach. And then, you get into that back half of the season. You got Oklahoma State, like you talked about there. That's a home game. Baylor, not very good. Kansas State could be pretty good, but that's also at home.
Yep.
There's opportunity there.
There's that. You know what? That's a great way to describe it. There is opportunity.
You have to play at BYU, but you don't play Texas Tech.
Correct.
Those are probably the 2 best teams in the league heading into the year. And then
agree.
I don't know, depending on how well Iowa State gels, we'll see. It gives reason for optimism, but yeah, man.
There's a path where you could
it's
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, if you win 5 home games, K-State, Cincinnati, West Virginia, Bowling Green, and SEMO, that's 5 and 7. Could you pick off Iowa and Iowa City? Could you pick off Baylor at Waco or at UCF? I think at Waco and at Orlando are both winnable games. I don't think those teams will be all that good. So
probably not.
There's maybe a path to claw your way to 6 and 6.
What else do we got, Matt? We're at about an hour. Anything else before we wrap up this one?
I did get a comment from a friend through Twitter, a group I'm part of, that we should at least maybe throw some poop at Texas Tech for their tantrums. And I don't want them to become what Nebraska and Texas were to this league, which is we think we're really important and we're just going to whine about everything all the time. And it really feels like they who chafed against that with Texas for so long is now transforming into Texas in front of our very eyes. And I don't think it's quite that bad. I think a lot of it more happens on the internet than anywhere else, but those folks got to check themselves a little bit, man. I think
they need to realize, Matt, they won the league 1 time.
Correct. And got embarrassed on the national stage.
They also don't realize why people are mad at them. Like this was the whole thing, that they think that the reason other Big 12 fans are mad at them is how much money they spent on the roster. No, the reason people are mad at Texas Tech is because the quarterback they recruited bet on his own team, and they tried to find a loophole, tried to find a bunch of loopholes that would allow him to play football for them, even knowing that happened. And that is why people are upset with Texas Tech.
And And the whole like you should be punishing Cincinnati. Fine, we can maybe talk about that. Guess where he's not playing football for this fall? Cincinnati. He's playing at Texas Tech. Like this question is not about. It's about his eligibility for this season, and that has shit to do with Cincinnati. Absolutely nothing to do with it. In the broader picture, sure.
For what it's worth, I'd be fine with punishing Cincinnati too. I mean,
same. But what does it have to do with whether or not he's eligible?
The punishment for having players that bet on games while they were at Iowa State, you know. But the players should have been ineligible, and Texas Tech did not need to go through all the trouble to try and get him eligible to play, which they succeeded at. And then, I don't know, cooler heads prevailed eventually. But, man.
I love the bit that reporter at Media Day. Why the lawsuit? Why the loopholes? Why are you trying to play him? I think they did that because they thought that was what it was going to take to get him to stand down and quit it. To do what everyone in the sport wanted.
That's why people are mad at Texas Tech fans, though. Don't let them convince you it's anything else.
Yeah, hopefully once this settles down, they realize, you know what? Yeah, we were wrong. We shouldn't have been defending someone in this situation. I don't know, the whole thing about we're trying to do what's right for him and his mental health. I'm sorry, I really don't have time for it. I do for mental health, but not to use it as a shield to try to get someone you really want to play football eligible because you want to be good. Anyway.
We got a Cody Campbell comment here as well.
Yeah, that's
do you think that he's going to spend $50 million a year for the next 20 years on their roster? Like, I don't know what his net worth is because I think
this is a 2 or 3 year company. It's a 2 or 3 year blip. There's no way he's going to want to do that. 1 and 2. This sport is going to look completely different in 2 or 3 years. I would predict. I'm not saying I'm banking.
I think he'll want to keep. I think he'll want to keep doing it, but not for 20 years because there's no return on investment. Oh. It's not like he's buying equity in their season. He's like buying them players, and his equity is seeing Texas Tech win football games. Like, but eventually, every finance guy, like they didn't get rich by giving their money away. So at some point, he's going to have to say, well, there's got to be some return on investment if I'm going to keep doing this year after year after year.
It's like spending money on Fortnite. The game is free, and spending the money might make you feel better, but it's not actually going to really do much for you. Right? Like, he's not directly profiting on that. I mean, maybe he is. Again, I don't know how he's got those deals worked, but yeah, this whole thing is very transitory. It'll be here for a while until the rules change, which I think everyone in the sport wants, which is why I'm convinced it will happen. But yeah, it's been talked about enough. Like I also don't want to make it super divisive going forward. Like, I don't want to push Tech out of the conference. I don't want this to become a Texas situation, which we're all still dealing with the fallout from 20 years later. So I hope that we can all just realize that, yeah, they were passionate because they really wanted Sorsby to play because they knew it would help their team. It was the wrong thing to do. He's not going to play. Move on.
Texas had options if they wanted to leave the Big 12. Texas Tech does not.
I think we
need to. They don't have options. So anyway, I think we covered that well, Matt. Let's. I mean, we've got more stuff on the table for next week, or next time. Maybe it's next week. I don't know. We're getting close to getting back into weekly podcasts again. Technology upgrades coming too. I can't wait for that. Oh my gosh! I know we can do this without interruptions. I do have my fingers. I'm knocking on my desk.
I love it. I do have a topic for next week.
All right. Let's do a guy of the week, and then we'll finish up the pod, and then we'll get ready for next week then.
So the topic is related to the guy of the week, which is guys that were really good but not stars. Guys that are maybe underappreciated, right? Like Iron Man. This guy started 24 games in his Cyclone career, but never. His highest award was academic all conference. Just like workman-like people, Keeney. That's what I'm looking for.
All right.
I think we can build a list.
Do you have just a guy before we end the stream though? Doesn't have to fit that profile. Just a guy.
Just a player in general.
Think about as we leave. Yeah, an Iowa State player.
Oh man, Willie Harvey. Good linebacker.
Oh, this is a really good
that's one. A great one. Tariq Milton. Should have been way better than
Willie Harvey's a good one.
Josh Lenz. Josh Lenz, number 19, white wide receiver, pride of Davenport, Iowa.
Scored all those touchdowns against TCU. All right, Matt,
Yes,
in
he
your
did.
honor, I'm going to go ahead and say Anthony Booker is my guy of the week.
Oh man,
You can't tell me that guy wouldn't be a problem on this basketball team this fall.
Foxhole guy, number one. I want him on my team in an alley fight guy. That guy, right? Corner 3, no defense.
Right.
Well, he'd block a shot or two.
All right, well,
Hold on,
shout out
I got
Anthony
one for
Booker.
basketball.
Shout out Tariq Milton, Willie Harvey,
Hallis Cook.
Hallis
Yep,
Cook.
hip
Hallis
surgery.
Cook, the guy still rides for Iowa State too. All right, Matt, this
does.
was great. Let's put a table, or let's table this. We'll pick it up again next podcast. And thank you all for watching along. Go Cyclones.
Go Cyclones.